evening and morning of the 19th day. Do the impossible with God. Whatever is impossible to you. Do you know that this is my 11th take on this video? I have done some that were up to 15 minutes. I have chased all kinds of rabbits. I have done all kinds of teaching and testimonies to tell you, and even as my phone shakes, to tell you to live out your identity in Christ. To do something that you deem as impossible just for yourself. Now, it will end up impacting others because how you grow and how you impact yourself ends up impacting others. But I learned Psalms 91 when I was sick, when I was in a toxic marriage, and those are all the things that I went on and on about that I'm not going to do now. Because this is about me helping you. And even though teaching by example is valid, it doesn't have to be, because the truth is the truth, whether or not it happened to me. And however I can convey it to you. So do the impossible with God. What is that impossible thing that's in your heart, that's in your soul? And I dare say, I tell you, it is in your spirit. Completed, perfectly, wonderful, empowered by God. Now, one of the things that I did was I learned Psalms 91. I memorized Psalms 91. When I was sick, when I was contained, when everything around me said that I was mentally and emotionally unprepared to do anything, which those things weren't completely true, but true enough. So I went in, I turned my phone's Hebrew on, I got some paper, and started writing my own phonetic version of what it said in Hebrew. Now, it took me a little while. It didn't take me weeks. I think it took me maybe about a week, because I had a lot of time on my hands. But I learned Psalms 91. I can remember standing in the driveway at night, calling Casey, my son, who is in Nashville, and quoting Psalms 91 to him in Hebrew. Do you know what that did for me? Well, for one thing, the word is alive and active and sharper than a two-edged sword. So I was empowering myself by using powerful words. The energy and everything that was coming from those words, that was coming from myself, because I was proud of myself. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of yourself. There's nothing wrong with loving yourself. For in the scripture, if it says to love your neighbor as yourself, then you need to love yourself in a good way, or else you won't be able to love your neighbor that way. Excuse me again. But anyway. So that's what I did. And it seemed impossible when I started, that I was going to learn an entire chapter of the Bible in Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew. So what is that impossible thing that you can do behind the scenes that can help you then to go and do the thing in front of the curtain, on the stage, in front of everyone? And you know, a lot of times that just means in front of the people in your own house, because they're the hardest audience generally. So do the impossible thing, because with God, nothing is impossible. And my example to you is that in a horrible, horrible time in my life, I didn't fall apart. I looked for ways to hold it together. I stayed with integrity with myself. I even admittedly said, I know it looks crazy and bad, but you know what? I know that I'm working myself out of this. I'm working my way free. I am seeking God and His righteousness, and surely the people came into my life that I needed to know. The information came into my life. It all came into my life. Why? Because everything about my energy, everything about my beliefs, all of that changed because I was willing to be wrong, to be right. I was willing to take responsibility, and I was willing to be aware of what I was saying and my intentions. And when I promised myself things, I gave myself a long runway. But I knew that I would come through somehow. My runway has been like 50-something years, y'all. But here I am. So, find something that you think is impossible. You don't have to tell all the critics about it right now. Do the impossible with God. Evening and morning of the 19th day.